Planning for retirement income is different than simply investing money or even managing your investment portfolio. Why is it so different, and why is that difference so important for your retirement? To provide light on that, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP, Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, president founder of TJ Stearns Inc. Tim, always a pleasure to have you here on the program. And I know that you do help people manage their investment portfolio, but that you also specifically have a very detailed process for helping your clients plan and prepare for retirement. And today we want to cover that difference and the distinction between the two. So could you give us some premise of why these two things, investment management and retirement income planning, are so distinctly different?
Well, we have people come into the office to my workshops all over the place and talk to us about, hey, I have X amount of money. Is that enough? And really, it's all about what your portfolio is going to throw off as income. Being in retirement is all about income, right? Being able to pay your bills, not having any issues with that type of thing, and still having a savings so you can do a trip. If you have you need a new car, a slush fund, I'll call it, another bucket of money to get money for to pay for those things. But at the end of the day, it's income. That's what it's about. I could have $10 million, but if it only throws off 50 grand a year in income, who cares, right? Versus I could have $500,000 and it throws off $100,000 a year. I'm happy as a clam, right? So the bottom line is you need to figure out how you're going to throw off income out of your portfolio.
Well, we need to know and understand the difference between retirement income planning and investment management, and to provide some guidance to help you in that transition, essential for your confidence and success into and throughout retirement. If you would like to sit down, have a complimentary review, or get your Protect and Grow written retirement income plan, give TJ Stearns Inc. and certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns, CFP, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. So many proactive planners throughout the Chicagoland area have benefited from the planning services of TJ Stearns Inc. and Tim Stearns CFP, but so many more could have their confidence lifted and boosted into and throughout making that transition and then life in retirement by having that Protect and Grow plan. So if you would like to take advantage, again, no cost, no obligation to sit and meet and go through that retirement review and strategy session with Tim Stearns CFP. So pick up the phone, give a call to get that process started, or even if you just have a couple quick questions on your mind that you would like to have addressed with a certified financial planning professional, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, I guess there is not working career income planning because it's kind of a double there, that the working career is the income plan, right? That's why we don't have this specific subset of our financial management during our working career, because the very act of showing up to work is in fact the de facto income plan that supports the investments growth in the first place.
I mean, Peter, at the end of the day is, when you're getting your paycheck, life is pretty easy, right? You paid your taxes, whatever you took home at that point, you can pay your bills and then maybe put some in savings. But you flip a switch here when you're retired and you go from being a saver to being a spender, which I think is really a lot for people who are in the baby boomers. Their
Big
parents,
psychological shift, right?
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, you look at, they were raised by, in most cases, people, parents of the Great Depression, right? And now they're in their 60s and they're saying, oh, wow, I what am I going to do here? How am I going to pay my bills? So that begs the question, where do you get guaranteed income from? Where do you make sure that you are, filling the gap that you have between what your bills are and what your income is? And at that end of the day, that's where it comes into having an income allocation plan.
Well, we all need to have some kind of plan for retirement. And Tim, I guess the grim reality is that Americans on whole, the retirement system seems to not be adequate. We are retiring with more financial uncertainty and lack
Right.
of confidence than ever before, despite, by and large, this generation having a good deal of investment success and more access to the market and investments than ever before. But about half of Americans don't even have access to a 401k. And then of those that do, about half of Americans don't actually participate. Let's be real. Like the typical listener to this program probably is not in those two groups. They're probably ones that have been more proactive with saving and investing and now are trying to figure out what to do with those assets. But just because we have a much larger investable lump sum than the generation before us did does not equate to the financial confidence level that we would like and desire for retirement.
Peter, it's interesting you say all that because I just saw a study where 4% of retirees say that they are living the dream,
Mm.
which is pretty scary. What are the other 96% doing? Well, they're kind of worried about running out of money, not having enough money to keep up with inflation, not earning enough in their investments, worried that their investments are going to go down. That's why having an income allocation plan is so important. Think about this. If I have an income allocation plan where I have guaranteed income streams, even if the market has gone down, I'm not that worried about it, right? Because number one, I've got my bills paid. But number two, I'm hoping that I don't take as much risk as I used to when I was in my younger days. We're seeing a really crazy phenomenon here where people come in to see us from the radio show, from my workshops, and they've got 80% in stocks. And why do they have that? Because they want to make up for lost time. I hear this all the time. Oh, my kids went through college. I helped pay for all that. And now, I got to double down and make more money to make up to the amount that I need in my mind to retire. And then we do an income allocation plan. It turns out they actually do have enough money, and they don't have to be taking all that undue risk. I try to explain to people like this: you are not 40 years old anymore. Do not invest like that to make up for what you think you need for income. Why not run an income allocation plan and see where you're at?
Well, it is overdue if you do not have one. In fact, the first day of our working career, we should probably start thinking about what the last day and the day after that might look like. Now, for most people, it does not start quite so soon, but wherever you're at, it's never too early to think about planning for retirement and to put that plan in writing. And that's what Tim Stearns, CFP, does for his clients there at TJ Stearns Inc. and extends the offer to do right along with you. For listening to this program, you are entitled. You just have to take advantage of the opportunity for that planning review, that complimentary strategy session with Tim Stearns, CFP, to document, write down your protect and grow written retirement income plan. To take advantage, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. So Tim, in this process, I guess starting, we need to have a vision for retirement, right? And you did mention that scary statistic of only 4% surveyed said that they were living the dream. It's interesting that you use the word dream. At least I found it was interesting because they talk about how if you wake up and you've had a dream, that you almost immediately begin forgetting it. And if you don't write it down by the end of the day, it's almost completely forgotten, right? I feel like waking up is that day after retirement. Is if we don't have a documented plan of what we envision retirement to be about, what we think it should look like, it's kind of like that fading memory of a dream there. And we might quickly find that we don't have any semblance of what we intended to look like.
Well, 9 out of 10 people want a plan, and 9 out of 10 of us don't have one. So the answer is really quick there. If you don't have a plan, get one. And I'm not talking about doing something on the back of an envelope, or on a napkin or something. I'm talking about really sitting down and defining what your in retirement looks like. What is your vision of retirement? We have numerous people come in here and say, well, I'm going to retire in a couple months and we're moving to Florida because I want to golf more, da, da, da. Right. And it turns out the wife will turn to him and go, are you kidding me? The grandchildren are here. We're not moving. So you need to start having these conversations. And you know what I really enjoy? When people come to a workshop together, a husband and wife come together and the two spouses are there as a team to figure out exactly what retirement looks like and what are the roadblocks to your successful retirement. Because I will say this again and again on this show, you have one shot at your ideal retirement.
And smart people learn from their own mistakes. We don't have that time or luxury to make that one shot the best that it can be. We've got to learn from the mistakes of others and learn from the success of others as well. And that's what the planning process there at TJ Stearns is all about, ladies and gentlemen, is that Tim Stearns, CFP, the team at TJ Stearns Inc. have seen retirement time and time and time again, not just the one time, but many, many, many thousands of times over, and can help you understand what it takes for a successful or what could ultimately lead to a less than successful retirement, and make sure that you're implementing the strategies that work and avoiding some of the pitfalls that don't. So pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, you're right, though. Between a married couple could be different visions of retirement. Do you envision retirement to be about traveling, golfing, adventuring, gardening, moving, staying in place, going to see the kids or grandkids more often? We've got to have that vision. And then working kind of backwards, right? What does that vision cost us, and how will we create the income from what accounts in what order in order to make that vision realistic?
Exactly. So you need to have it down on paper, and that's the bottom line. Now, is it a static plan? No, it's going to be dynamic. I just met with a couple the other day, and we went through it, and we were way ahead of schedule what we thought we'd be making them on their money, which is nice, right? And they're paying their bills, and they thought they're going to be spending about $8,000. It turns out they're spending about $7,000. So we're on page there too. But you know what happens then that night? They sleep better, right? Because they know they're on pace. It's you need a GPS for retirement. And that's really what it comes down to, is how are you going to get to that, we'll call it the promised land, the ideal retirement where you are actually living the dream. And the way to do that is by having, your investments looked at, see how much risk you have in there, see how much income you can get from your different portfolios, and then see what your gap is and make sure that you're filling that. And then, you know what? The markets are not going to control your life, and you can be a spender and sleep better at night.
And Tim, we've got all of these different types of assets. Do we draw from the 401k or the IRAs or the tax deferred or the Roth, or maybe bank cash first? When do we start the pension if we've got one? Or certainly so many different choices with Social Security. How do we make the most of that? Can you talk about the process of actually designing the income plan, and are there any rules or maybe guidelines that can help us make sense of these different pieces of the puzzle to bring the picture together?
Well, this first guideline I'll start with, and I'm tired of hearing the word as well as anybody, but inflation. Make sure that when you're putting out what you need to make in a year, that every year you're increasing it by at least 3%. I think the Fed wants to get it down to 2%, but historically it's been over 3%. So we always tell people to start there. The other thing you want to make sure is that, what are your guaranteed sources? And can you put money in an annuity with the interest rates being so high right now? I've never seen interest rates as high as this levels that we're seeing right now. So the payouts on some of these guaranteed money are really great for people. A lot of people are refinancing mortgages right when rates drop. Well, the opposite happens. If you have an old annuity, you should be refinancing that too with the better rates. That being said, you do not have an annuity, it's a great time to buy one because it's the highest rates I've ever seen, and you can have guaranteed income, and in some cases, increasing income that would keep up with inflation.
Yeah, just to put that in perspective, Tim, for the last 30 years, the Wall Street financial models, the forecasts for retirement have all sort of projected out this 4% retirement cash flow, right? So whatever your lump sum is, you should be able to take a 4% income from that and hopefully make your money last. So if you got $500,000 in your 401k, that's $20,000 a year of income thereabouts, or at least in year one, that you should be able to generate and hopefully make your money last until the end of retirement. If it's $1 million, that's $40,000,
Yeah.
which never really seemed quite generous. But if you run the projections, that is not even completely safe. It's just more conservative in the estimates, and there's still a probability of failure, right? Running out of money. Whereas today, what you're talking about with these interest and payout rates that are available, we're seeing payouts from a lump sum in the 6, maybe even 7% kind of payout rates, contractually guaranteed for life. So there's no risk or
No,
probability there of running out of money. And yet they're paying out 50 to 75% more income, or it takes that much less money to generate the same amount of income. That it's a pretty good time to look at this. And Tim, those rates get locked in for life when you get into them, right?
that is correct. And that's why I say it's a great time to buy an annuity. Or if you have an old one, to basically refinance it and get these better rates. The payouts are unbelievable right now. And I'll tell you what, you can do more with less. If you're using asset allocation, which people have used forever, it's failed you in 2000, 2001, 2, 2008, 2018, and 2022. With an income allocation plan, there is no room for error. You know what your guaranteed is, because contractually you sign up with the insurance company. And here at our firm, we don't deal with any A minuses or below. So we're always dealing with companies that, one of them's been around 200 years, so those are the companies that we deal with, and, not some flash in the pan type company and fly by night.
Well, if you would like to get that plan put together, if you'd like to look at rates, see how much your savings could generate for you for a retirement income that is durable, dependable, sustainable, that provides for income confidence. Again, now is a good time to look at that. Maybe better than we've seen in 20, 30 years,
Great.
certainly. So pick up the phone and give a call. Tim Stearns can shop around with you, for you, has access to the companies that are out there, and can help point you where you will get the best bang for your buck, the best leverage for creating that income. That's what we are looking for the day after we retire, and for all of the days thereafter, is creating that income, leveraging the dollars that we have worked so hard to save. Again, Tim Stearns, CFP, can help you with that. Pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Now, Tim, that income allocation planning process that you spoke about, that really is going to help us determine how much is enough, right? That's the question on people's mind. Well, how much is enough? We need to have an answer to that. But I also, in my mind, I don't just want enough. I want more than enough. But knowing how much that is still a question on so many people's minds.
Right. And at the end of the day, it comes down to doing some budgeting, right? I find that usually there's one spouse that does most of the bills, and the other one really doesn't know what's going on over there. So an income allocation plan, when you have both of them front and center, you can get into what the budget is, what their visions are for retirement, and make sure that, you have enough, and then you have the extra to do all these things that you couldn't do in the past because you were working. Or more importantly, if you have something, catastrophic happen at your house or with a car or what have you, you have money on the sidelines that is ready to go to be used for that, so that you don't have to dip into your investments when, like, let's say the market's down in 2022.
And it was down pretty significantly, Tim, for folks that needed that account to create the income.
Right.
Now they've locked in losses, right? There's an old rule in the market: don't sell when things are down, don't lock in losses.
Right.
And in retirement, because we are net sellers of assets, if we depend on that for income, that's exactly what we're forced to do. No choice about it.
Right. And that's why I'm saying an income allocation plan with guaranteed, let's say, income coming from an annuity or your Social Security, or if you're lucky enough still to have a pension, then you don't have to dip into those things, and lock in the losses. So these are things that we look at. The other thing is, how about not having as great of losses as you had in the past? If there's one thing the market has taught us, it can be very fickle, right? Just when you think everything's going well, it goes down. Jerome Powell smiles the wrong way, and the next thing you know, the market's tanking, right? So you're looking at different things that make the market crazy. Well, take some of that out of it by having stop losses, by hedging, by having uncorrelated assets. I see so many people with stocks or bonds or mutual funds made of that. So when the market goes down, they're very unhappy. But if they would have had stop losses or hedged, at this stage of their career, you have to retain what you had.
Build a plan that works no matter what is the
Yeah.
underlying theme here, right? Is
Yep.
that markets are going to be up, down, sideways. We don't know when, where, by how much. But if we've got that income allocation plan in place, Tim, we've got a guaranteed stream of income that we've dedicated to not having to worry about the direction day to day of the market.
Right. At the end of the day, there is no room for failure in retirement, right? Are you going to go live with your kids, your friends? You're going to look out for the federal government for a handout. That is not the way. So figure it out. As my dad used to always say, make sure you get it right so that you get, sleep well at night.
Again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP. If you would like to take a look at your retirement income planning specifically, or just have any kind of financial investment or retirement related questions, if you would like to get a better handle and understanding on the risks that you're taking, the fees that you're paying, the taxes that you may be liable for, when and how to claim and collect Social Security, make the most of that. If you'd like to look at healthcare or legacy planning, pick up the phone, give a call. These are all topics that are covered under that Protect and Grow plan and by Tim Stearns, CFP, and the team there at TJ Stearns Inc. in the complimentary review and the retirement planning process. 800-640-2256, the number to call. 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, you mentioned that the lump sum is not a true indicator on financial preparedness. I have the $1 million, therefore I'm ready to retire. I see maybe just as many people doing that off of age. If I hit 65, I will be ready to retire. That may be just as misleading or just as much of a fallacy. What do you think about that?
Peter, age doesn't matter. It's about what you have that will throw off an income to you. Whether I'm 50 or I'm 70 years old, it's all about whether I'm able to pay my bills, and have the extra surplus to do things that come up. So when I'm doing an income allocation plan for people, I make sure that they have that. We need guarantees, and we need to make sure that we're making the money grow safely and not in something crazy. And I just feel that people having a plan will make them sleep so much better at night and be happy. If 4% of society is living the dream, then I say something's wrong, and 96% of us need to get a plan together.
Again, you can do that right now. Pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, best time to get insurance, right, is before you get sick, before you have an accident, before there is a house fire, because afterwards it's going to be very difficult. Similarly, we are talking about guaranteeing lifetime income, this retirement income planning process, putting insurance on our income before a market downturn probably is a better time to do this. Like right now, as we are talking about and hovering around all-time highs in the market, plus we've got these great interest rates. That is the time to look at this.
Absolutely, Peter. Never a better time than right now. You have high interest rates for savers. That's a great thing. You also have the fact that the market's at its all-time high. Do you think it's just going to keep going? I know that other advisors want everyone to think that, but I'm a realist, and I know that I'll be the turtle. The slow and steady wins the race, rather than the hare that lost everything because I played some flash in the pan. When you see one stock, and I'm speaking of Nvidia, controlling the market in most cases, it's a little scary to me that the market's this darn high.
Yeah, well, there are a handful that last year kind of were dubbed the magnificent
Yeah.
stocks, right?
Yep.
And the year before that, those were the same ones that tended to lead on the way down and lose the most
Absolutely.
value as well, right? It's like we forget how quickly things can shift, but those that are high movers, high flyers are also the higher they are, the further and faster they can fall too. And that's where we're at with the market as a whole kind of right now too, Tim, is I worry, yes, we've seen this fantastic run. It has been a windfall for America's 401k account balances. We have enjoyed this market run up really over the past year, 18 months since to 2022. but it's time to take stock of that. No pun intended, but to really take account of how far we've come and assess if we are comfortable losing any substantial amount moving forward, especially for those in retirement or nearing retirement. Right, Tim?
At this stage of the game, if you are a baby boomer, the last thing you need is a 30% decline in your portfolio like we saw in 2008. So right now is when you hit the road and you make sure that you get a plan together that's not going to have that happen to you, so that you're not prolonging your working career but you want to get ahead of it and prolong your retirement.
Again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, Chicagoland. You've got a resource for financial investment, and as we talked about on today's program, specifically retirement income planning. And if you would like to take advantage of a complimentary review with a certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, makes that available for listeners to the program, and will even help you design the written Protect and Grow income plan. If you'd, again, like to take advantage, all you need to do to get started, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Or you can always visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. Tim, we always appreciate the time here on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.